Almost a year of applying to jobs, cold calling, as well as referrals, and zero results. So, I actually really took some time to think about this for you. And the reality is, this is not a quick fix. I can't tell you in 1 minute what to do. I actually ended up writing out 10 things that if I was your career coach, I would dive into to figure out where perhaps you're missing the mark in your job search today. It is a very different job market, folks. I'm going to be honest, I don't care what the numbers say. I think it's worse than 2008 based on what I'm hearing from people on social media. And that means we have to change how we look for work. We've really got to take it up a notch. And I know it's frustrating, and I know you're all saying, I just want a job, but folks, this is it. If you want to get paid thousands of dollars, you've got to put more effort in right now. It's that simple. But what is that effort? How do you know which things you should be doing differently? And that's what a job search career coach like myself and my team at Work It Daily figure out for you. But I'm going to walk you through 10 things. So if you don't have time to listen to all 10, please bookmark this and come back, because this is a true mini job search course that I'm about to give you right here on this app, okay? All right. So the first thing I would look at if I was working with you is, number one, are you clear in the value that you provide to employers? Do you really understand how you save or make them enough money to justify your salary, the cost of hiring you? Because way too many people out there right now are saying the wrong things. They're saying, I'm reliable and I'm trustworthy and I'm a good team player and I'm this or that. Those soft skills, that's a given in this market. You better come with all of those. What they want to hear is, what are the activities you do that save or make money? And you've got to go back and really look at that and make sure that you can articulate that. It's called your UVA, which stands for unique value add. It's how you take your skills and experience and turn it into something that's worth good money. And that is something you've got to get a handle on. And if you're not good at that, that's the first thing I would want to fix with you. Which leads to number two. Is your UVA, your unique value add, properly reflected in your resume and your LinkedIn profile? We still use these tools. Hopefully they'll go away someday, but until such time, you've got to make sure that these are built, that they're very clear and simple. Too many people right now are spending horrible money on resume writers and LinkedIn profile writers that, I'm going to be honest, are scamming you, because what they're doing is creating these hypey, overdone documents to make you feel good about yourself, which is not what recruiters and hiring managers need right now. When you're in a labor market like this one, where they're getting tons of applications, the one that is clean and simple and really dives into the UVA, the unique value add, as quickly as possible is the one that gets the phone call. It's that simple. So you've got to have what we call the 6-second resume and the 6-second LinkedIn profile, where it's skimmable. And again, those transferable hard skills, that value is very clear, so that immediately they understand that and get impressed by it. So we want to make sure those tools are updated in that type of format. Now, number three, are you targeting the right employers? Yes, targeting. You should not be spraying and praying. You should not be blanketing applications. It's actually one of the fastest ways to get depressed in your job search, because you're going to get rejected for not being fit. And then you're like, I didn't even really want to work there and they're rejecting me. You've got to go job shopping. You've got to know exactly which employers you respect and admire that would hire for your skill set. And that's going to require a little work on your part to figure that out. But here's the exciting part of that. This is a technique I've taught for years. When you dial in and choose companies you respect and admire, and you can tell me why you respect and admire them, you're going to be able to turn around and tell them why you respect and admire them, and that's going to make you more attractive to them. Plus, right out of the gate, it's just going to feel like a better connection with them. So it's very important that you get selective and targeted in who you're applying to. And that leads to number four. Can you tell them exactly what you respect and admire about them? This is how you connect with them. It's called the connection story, and it is vital right now. It is critical in this job market. If all of the candidates are essentially the same, it's going to be the one that can tell that hiring manager what's going to get them up out of bed every day to do this job. It's called your intrinsic motivation. And it's really just a fancy term for, where did you learn that working for this company, what they did, their products, their services, their customers, their methodology is so good that it will personally inspire you to want to do this work and do a great job? Yes, that's what they're looking for in this market, and you've got to be able to articulate that, or you're going to lose out to somebody that does a better job of sharing that information. Now, that leads to number five. Similar to your connection story, you also need a killer career story. The career story is how you connect the dots all the way up to where you are today. That story needs to reinforce that UVA, that unique value add, but also help them understand how you are self-motivated. And what you choose to say about yourself and how you explain your career story ends up revealing a ton about you. It'll tell a lot about like your personality, how you look at things. So they're going to ask you, they're going to pull questions out of you. Even when you're out chatting and networking and meeting people, your career story, people immediately start to decide whether they're impressed by you, respect you, trust you. So having that career story on lock is pretty important these days. Now, I've got number 6 on the list here. Are you back channeling? So most people I talk to right now are doing the bare minimum of job search. I wouldn't even count it as job search. They're just applying online. And you're saying, wait a minute, JT, they all say you have to apply online. That's just a formality. Go ahead and apply online, but then start to back channel. You need to connect with people that work at that company. And people are primarily doing that through LinkedIn right now. Great if you know somebody there. And certainly if you know people who can introduce you to people. But if you don't, there are plenty of ways where you can reach out to them, like customizing the connection request and adding a note and saying, hey, I'm a huge fan of your company. I'd love to share my story. Remember that story that I'm talking about? This is where you would be able to share that story and get somebody motivated to want to introduce you to a hiring manager. I'm going to have to do this, folks. Plus, and I'll do it in a separate video, there are a lot of upsides to that technique in terms of the more connections you get at a company, even if you don't even speak to them, just the sheer number of people you get to connect with you on LinkedIn at a company can improve the chances you get a call because of the way that recruiters use LinkedIn. They actually see that number of how many people you're connected to at the company, and that can help you get an interview. So definitely need to be back channeling. Now, number 7, can you explain your gap of employment? This is a hard one, I know. Most, I would say, recruiters and hiring managers really start to question a person after about 6 months. And it's sort of like when a house goes on the market and all of a sudden 3 months later, it's still on the market in a hot housing market. You know, every other house is being scooped up, multiple offers same day, but this house has been on the market. People immediately assume something's wrong with it. And so sadly, recruiters and hiring managers will do the same thing around the 6-month mark. So you have to get ready to explain why you think you've been out of work this long. And this has to do with something I refer to as your MOA, your moment of accountability. I'm not saying you did anything wrong, and I'm not saying that you should tell them you did anything wrong, but I am saying you should be able to look back over this extended period of time and recognize 1 or 2 places where maybe you should have done something differently. Should you have started your job search sooner? Should you have gotten more targeted? Should you have increased your networking? You know, what are some things you can look at and honestly say that you didn't realize at the time, but now you know, given how tough the market is, these are a couple things you would have done differently. That's very, very important, because if you just sit and try to make excuses, again, it's going to look like something's wrong, like you're hiding something. And I work with people every single day on this, my teammates and I, because we get you to a place where you just feel comfortable saying it, because you shouldn't feel ashamed. These things happen. But if you are feeling any kind of insecurity about the way you answer this question, it's going to work against you. So this is a biggie, all right? Now, number 8, have you done proper interview prep? This is, I can't believe how many people are sleeping on this. Interview prep is everything. When you crush it in the interview and you become their number 1 pick, they not only want you and want to hire you, but they'll often want to give you more money because they don't want to lose you. Interview prep is everything. With so much talent out there right now, if you are not doing interview prep, you are missing your chance, because somebody else is coming in and explaining their unique value add better, explaining how they save or make money, and telling their career story better and telling their connection story better than you. And that's where you can lose it, even though you're great for the job. So you got to put the effort in. I'm sorry. You've got to do the interview prep. You've got to look at all those behavioral questions, those open-ended questions, and make sure that you've got more than one-word answers and that you can really articulate your value. So, so important. I would argue that the interview prep course at Work It Daily is the single most important course that we make people take in order for them to get a great new job. All right, number 9.